And we are live. Gentlemen, welcome. This is such a fun episode to do right now. I'm looking at this screen. As Lucas mentioned before we started recording, we have two United fans, an Arsenal fan, a Liverpool fan on here. And I'm so stoked to get this episode underway. So without further ado, welcome back to the Mecca of Banter podcast. It's this week's host, Henry Wind. You can find me on Twitter at Henry Wind. And gentlemen, it is a great week to be a Manchester United fan. It is the easiest time to be a Manchester United fan on a week that Manchester United doesn't play. So, hey, we got the next 2 weeks of, just laying low. I have to defend my honor, I suppose, on this episode coming off of the Grimsby loss. But thankfully, we have
way to get out in front of it, man.
Yeah. We have the Burnley win to talk about. We'll talk some St. Louis City, and as of a couple hours ago, the transfer window is closed in England. So we have a lot to talk about today. We'll start with the two mainstays and then our special guest. I'll introduce him last. But I'll start with my United brother back from Park City, Utah, back from Boston, Massachusetts. Connor Sindobri, how you doing?
What's going on, fellas? Yeah, it's good to be back. I was on a little bit of a 7-day bender there. I did get to catch a little bit of footy. Didn't get to catch Grimsby. Just had to vicariously live through all the shit that was talked in the Mecca while the game was going on. So I felt like I got to live it at the same time. But yeah, fellas, it's good to be back. Transfer window just ended. Little disappointed, but thankfully we had Burnley yesterday to make my spirits, I guess, a little bit better, even though it wasn't pretty. But yeah, fellas, good to be back. Good to see you, boys.
To have you. Lucas Winkleman, welcome back to the pod. How are you feeling today?
Feeling good. Interesting game this weekend.
How, Lucas?
Yeah, I'll save that. I'm sure our special guest and I both have a lot of thoughts on it, as well as you two as a neutral, but I can predict what you guys are thinking. Still a good game and a good weekend nonetheless. Went to the Cardinals game today and watched the Athletics hit some batting practice against our best starting pitcher, so that was super sick, but it was beautiful outside. Just getting back and hopping on here, so that's always a good day. Good to see you guys.
To have you, bro. And last but certainly not least, a longtime friend of this podcast, Brian Flannery is here, a married man coming off of the wedding. He's got the ring on. Come on, Flan. We are so stoked for you. Happy to have you here. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm floating, as I said. These past couple weeks have been crazy. Get married. Liverpool is going crazy. Probably having the best transfer window of my life. For sure. We're winning games. It's a good time to be me. That's all I'll say. I'm happy to be here.
How's the college football over the weekend? How's the atmosphere?
It was amazing. People who don't know, I'm a University of Texas alum and a big UT fan. I made the mistake of getting excited about UT football again before the year started. It was a really cool atmosphere at the stadium in Ohio State this weekend. Cool to be in hostile territory, but Arch Manning needs a couple more reps is what I'm thinking.
Needs a couple more years,
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about American football. We are here to talk about the world's game. And we're going to start off with none other than St. Louis City. Really short segment here. There's truthfully not much to say. We lost yet again. Crazy. Weird statistic on this. This is our third or fourth 3-2 loss, which is very odd. There was once a day this season that we couldn't pay enough money to score a goal. And here we are scoring 2 goals in consecutive games. And it's still not being enough. We are really bad, ladies and gentlemen. We are really, really, really bad. My wife and I got to go to this game. Although we are season ticket holders, this is really only like the second or third game we've been to this season, just for various reasons. But the atmosphere pregame was good. I was pretty curious on how it was going to be, especially with this being the first game post-Lutz Van der Steel getting the sack from St. Louis City. The atmosphere was good pregame, and that is really the last thing that I have to say about it. The whole first half, St. Louis looked dominant on the ball, but we just have to be the MLS's favorite team to play against. I think everyone circles this game on their calendar just because they know that they're going to score goals. They know it's going to be easy. They know that they don't have to take the game to us whatsoever. It's a really interesting game plan that the other teams can just let us have the ball for 60 to 70% of the game, knowing that we're not going to do anything about it. So really disheartening. To be honest with you, I'm pretty apathetic towards the team in general. I watched 3 goals go in. The first goal went in against us, and I swear to you, I didn't even break my sentence. I was in the middle of talking to Paige, and I didn't even react in any way. Like, I've just lost all emotional attachment to this season, to our defending. we're just not good. Second goal, Baumgartel slips. Kessler doesn't track his man the right way. The third goal, Falou Fall just literally passes the ball to the striker in on a breakaway. My God, highlights, Leuven scored the best goal I've ever seen him score. If you
Unreal.
haven't seen that, go
Yeah,
back and
great
watch
goal.
that highlight. It's great. Counts
It's a
for
banger.
nothing. Hang it in the banners, I suppose. And then Mackay Joyner gets his first MLS goal, which we are all stoked for here on the pod. And the city of St. Louis always loves to rally around a young prospect. But there's just not really much to say. Leuven in his post-game conference just talked about how he was really shocked with, the Lutz decision, and he felt like it was maybe unfair, and that the players, him, the coaching staff all has to take a lot of responsibility in that. And, what else do we have to say about it? I remind myself of this like every single week when we record, and I'm thankful that we are not a St. Louis City only podcast, because I think it would just be dark, dark, dark days this season. Just like we said last week, it couldn't end sooner. I don't know where we go from here. I have no idea the direction that we want to go as a club. There is speculation from Tom Franklin Soccer Zombie. I suppose there was like a European manager, I forgot which, in Norway or Denmark or one of the two, that was at our game. He has been a coach over in Europe. I don't know if we're looking that direction. I still think that we should go like the Jim Curtin route, but we'll see.
I think Jose would fit in real nice over here in South City.
Jose Mourinho, bro. Let's bring him in. Hell, I'd take Ten Hag, bro. Ten Hag's looking for a club
we
as
got
well.
Hey, this guy's begging for a club.
another.
At our pace, we'll give him 2 games as well, and see
My
you never.
God, it's insane. But yeah, it's not looking good, bruv, for St. Louis City as a fan, as a player. Yeah, that's really all I'm going to say about it. We're not going to talk y'all's ear off about St. Louis City. We just don't need to. But let's get into the Premier League. That is what we have to talk about, and it's why we brought the big guns in today. It would feel weird to not talk about this Liverpool-Arsenal game with equal representation here. So if you missed it, it was the game of the it was supposed to be the game of the weekend.
0%.
There weren't really hardly any fireworks except for the goal that was scored. It was incredible. But Liverpool takes down Arsenal 1-0 at Anfield to mark the first really big game of the season with last year's number 1 and number 2 teams. So Flan, Lucas, let's talk about it. What did you actually, before Flan talks, Lucas, what did you make of the game?
I would love Flan to take his flowers first. I feel like that's something we always do.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to start, but
Good deflection.
I feel like it's only fair. No, I'm so ready.
So you're saying that you want to go second?
He's doing the podcast version of 4 center backs and 3 CDMs. That's what this looks like to me.
I have that on my notes, right? That's like my second bullet point.
I took some notes for this. I think it was I feel like it was one of those games where you end up having 2 clubs that are supposed to be like at the top of their game right now. I think Arsenal and Liverpool are definitely that for this season, and like tactically they both perform very well, but it ends up being a bit of a nothing for the match. The goal obviously was an absolute wonder goal from Szoboszlai.
Just fucking believable.
Absolutely insane.
Amazing to come away with 3 points. I think Slot said it best in his post-game interview, which is if we play that game 10 times, I think 8 of them, it comes away a draw. 1 of them Arsenal takes and 1 of them we take. And I think we're very happy with the 3 points coming out of that. A bit of magic from Szoboszlai. But yeah, I thought overall, good performance from both teams. Like they looked defensively sound. I think it was the first time that we've looked defensively sound in a couple different positions, which was nice. And yeah, I thought we dominated the second half more so and kind of
100%.
kept Arsenal low block and had some chances, but ultimately nothing like we're talking about other than the goal.
First half was so weird. The first half was probably the sloppiest I've seen both of you look in a long time. I mean, it's notable just because of the kind of consistency that we're used to seeing in him, but Van Dijk misplaced like 3 or 4 passes in the first half, which is wild. He was also dribbling the ball forward like he rarely ever does that, and it was just there's a lot of just weird things going on in that first half, and yeah. I think we all said it in the group text that it was a slow burn of a first half, to put it lightly.
It was a slow burn for sure. Yeah, I think like our best players were looked very off. Salah's touch was shit for the first half. Wirtz was giving away every ball that he touched, and Dijk's long balls were not on point. I think it was a lot of like both teams feeling out each other tactically. Both managers do a good job of setting up their teams before matches, in my opinion, and it was basically took a first half for either team to feel like they felt comfortable knowing what they should be doing against the opponent. And I think we got the better hand of it after halftime, I would say.
Do you feel like from the Liverpool perspective, did you feel like lucky not to concede? Do you feel like Arsenal didn't take their chances, or do you feel like you just kind of like nullified their attack?
I think first half they definitely had chances that were scary. I mean, I would love to hear from you, Lucas, but like I feel like Madueke obviously was one of the stars for you guys in the game. I think not many other folks stood out for me in that match. Gyökeres looked just as slow as ever.
I do think
Martinelli wasted a lot of
with
opportunities.
Madueke, dude, is like Kirk has also played really well.
Exactly. I was gonna
Yeah.
say it was
Yeah.
really like the first time I've seen Kirkez play well. Like I
Yeah.
was like,
very
okay,
true.
he's up for the challenge. This guy was left back Premier League team of the season last year for a reason. And I don't think we've seen that yet from him. I've been a little underwhelmed by the signing thus far, but yeah, I mean, Madueke looked good, but Kirkez looked up to the task, I would say. But there were a couple of scary chances.
I think like the first 10, 15 minutes of that game, everybody, or at least everybody that I was talking to, thought that Kirkez was going to be getting cooked the whole game. But definitely after the first half of the first half, he started locking him down. But sorry, finish your thought and then.
No, I mean, I think honestly, like this is not as much of throwing shade, but I think Arsenal could have scored or created more chances if they had just stayed on their feet in that match. Like there are a couple times where I felt like there were guys in on goal or in a very good position, and they were just looking for a free kick or a penalty or something where they were in a great position to score, and they just didn't pull the trigger. I think Martinelli wasted enough opportunities to keep us safe as well.
Yeah, I don't even want to waste my breath on talking about his
He's
performance.
wasted all goodwill I think that he had very quickly this year.
Yeah. Yeah, and on top of, us looking for, some of those free kicks or pens or any other, situational stoppages in play, something that I was texting Henry about yesterday, both teams, there were at least a handful of chances on both sides of the ball for us that we would have players start a counter and they would, get it to one of the corners of the 18 right outside the 18 and they would stop, turn it around, and the ball would end up back to our keepers at least 5 times per team. And I think that that was super boring in itself. Like you two as neutrals weren't wrong, on Saturday and saying that it was a super boring game. I think, Flan, you said it well, like tactically, I don't think either manager got it completely right or completely wrong. For us, holding Liverpool to just a worldy free kick and 0 big chances, which who knows the last time you guys were held to 0 big chances, is great on our end. I think a success defensively, but, outside of a shitty Saliba injury 5 minutes in, not having Odegaard to be fit enough to start, no Saka on the right, and forcing Martinelli to start on the left, on top of having 3 CDMs, it was like low expectations to begin, but we were sort of set up to fail from an offensive perspective. Had I seen that lineup earlier in the morning, I would have bet the under in that game. I would have put my entire house on it. But
Yeah,
something that I noticed, at least on our end, was because we had 3 CDMs, like neither Rice nor Marino were getting too far up the field unless it was on corners. And I noticed a lot that one or the other of those two were dropping like in between our center backs. One of them at all times when we had the ball were dropping so deep that we were taking one player out of our midfield automatically, and you guys constantly had 4 or 5 guys in the midfield, in the central area of the midfield at all time, that you guys took Gyökeres completely out of the game. And the reason I was texting Henry about, the possessions yesterday was because he sent me a meme about Gyökeres instead of, Gyökeres, yeah. But I don't think he was ass. Like if you look at his stats right next to Editike, they played the exact same, almost identical amount of touches.
But this is why stats This is why
That's
stats
right. I
don't
know.
do
I
it, because
test, but what I'm saying is, Hen, like you can say you can say he's ass, but the way that we were forced to play because of injuries in the 3 center mids that we
I
started,
disagree with that
yes,
wholeheartedly. I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
that's fine, but because one of our center midfielders was dropping so far back and taking a guy out of the midfield, it was so easy for you guys to have an extra guy in the middle blocking any lane to play Gyökeres in the middle. I know we did it a few
When he plays
times.
competent center backs, it's easy to take him out of the game. Like it's not like you guys were sitting back against United and he was useless the entire
Yeah,
time.
it's very
Like
true.
when he plays against a Konate and a Virgil, who are big center backs who want to play against Gyökeres types, it's very easy to defend him, especially when you're playing that way. But it's not like this was the only game we've seen him do that. Like,
I also just want to double down on the whole, like, this is the way that you were forced to play thing. Arsenal's never been deeper than they are right now. They have a starting caliber player in every single position on the backup, every single position on the field. And so I forgot who said it in the post game, but the difference between the two approaches in club today, or on that day, was Arne Slot and Liverpool came to win the game. That's what they did. Their substitutions were with the intention of winning the game. They were very attacking, whereas Arsenal
I would say our substitutions were the exact same way, bringing Odegaard and Eze on. I think it was too little, too late to bring them on, but I would disagree with the statement that we were playing to tie. Watching us bring on both Dauman, who is attack the wing backs every chance he gets the ball.
that
He'd
was
rather
down a
shoot.
goal.
Right, but either way, he was subbing in to tie or win the. He was subbing on
4
for
center backs
offensive
and 3 CDMs to not lose the game.
to start the game. But when we brought on our subs, dude, I don't think Wanyeri playing in the 10 slot would have brought as much.
Yeah.
Like he's our sub in that spot, and I don't think he has as much of an impact as it does to play Zubimendi, Rice, and Marino.
I think the thing here is it's like there's nothing wrong with going to Anfield to try to come away with a draw. Like United has done that, but we're also very okay saying that we did it. Like we went to get a draw and came away with a point, to where it's like three like holding center mids and 4 defenders. It's like it's clearly not going to win the game. It's like hoping to maybe squeak out a goal. Like,
yeah,
and it's okay for that to be a thing. Like it's
no, and I understand that. I'm not like denying that, but I'm denying that the way the subs that we brought in were sort of a like further, I can't find the right words, but it's not like our subs were brought in. It's not like we brought in, a 10 that's going to hold back, or a winger that's going to, play the ball backwards constantly. Like Dauman might be the player on our team that plays the ball backwards the least. And then Eze, we knew he was going to make his debut there too. So 3 very offensive-minded guys. It wasn't like we were playing that way the whole game. And granted, I understand that we were down a goal, so we had to go for something there. But either way, not having 2 key players that, with the signings we made, have allowed us to play differently than just outside along the wings trying to get crosses, blows, frankly. No other way to say it. But
yeah. I feel like, I'm a little disappointed JP's not here, because there'd be a lot more delusion and you're a little bit more level about it. But
it's always frustrating. It's always frustrating.
Yeah, that guy's an absolute maniac. I think, like, to your credit, I feel like what you said, Hen, is true. Like, they have starting players at like almost every position, but you got to say, like, in this game specifically, I think it looks different if you have a healthy Odegaard, a healthy Saka, and an Eze who didn't sign like a week ago, because like those players probably start that game, and then the club looks really different, but they're just not available. So like for an Arsenal team, I think they have a backup starting player at every defensive position. Like honestly, like they have a back 8 that they could run with a really good like starting 4, and they have 14 CDMs or something like that. I swear to God, every one of their like
it's wing backs
is a CDM other than Odegaard.
CDM.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like I think it would look super different. Gyökeres is also just like shittier than I thought they expect him to be. To be honest,
I
don't think
you'll be saying
Burnley's,
that.
Dude.
Yeah.
He's built to play against like Sunderland, where you guys will have possession and whipping balls. Like he's not built to play 2 stocky, sturdy center backs, because he's just not.
I think that's something he's going to have to learn. I think he's going to have to learn that Lukaku-esque hold up play where
Yeah. Yes.
he's not a little guy by any means. Like he's right up there in size with those two center backs, and so he needs to learn that Lukaku-esque like hold off, settle it with one foot and either a quick turn and put it on net, or in a perfect world, lay it off to an Odegaard or an Eze who's drifting towards the middle.
It is interesting though, because it almost feels, and this is a really small sample size, and just watching the first three games of the season for Arsenal, it almost feels like I agree with that, but Arsenal doesn't look to play it into his feet too much. Like they look to play him into the channels, which is just fascinating because you've never had that hold up striker, at least in the last several years. You've never had that hold up striker that can be physical, but then you're choosing not to use him. Like even when Kai Havertz was in there, you were using him way more.
Kai would have been perfect for this game.
Would have been great for that game, but really, who would have been perfect is like what we said last year. They're an Alexander Isak away from being league contenders, but then also like, and we'll get to that in a second, Flan. But Ekitike has been really good. He has been like, and it's part of why I wanted to defend him a little bit when you said that, like on paper, on stats, like they were so similar, Gyökeres and in Ekitike, because when you watch the game, they were anything but similar. Ekitike was dropping in, he was linking up play, he was settling the ball, finding that outlet. He's so crafty in tight spaces where literally Gyökeres just doesn't have that to his game at all. So I don't know. It's small margins. Obviously, we're talking about a 1-0 game. It's not like we're talking about a blowout.
I will say too on that point, Hen, it's like, and this is why I've always been so adamant. It's like close the transfer window before week 1 of the season, because I feel like these first 3 or 4 weeks, it's like win any way you can. Like teams aren't settled. Teams have not played together. Like we're getting ready to play City here in 2 weeks, and Donnarumma is going to be their goalie. You know what I mean? It's like, it's one of those things where like Liverpool could have had Isak yesterday. You know what I mean? Eze could have been healthy for Arsenal. Like I feel like these first couple weeks of the season, it's just like find a way to win the game. You know what I mean? Because teams aren't settled. Teams aren't in a rhythm yet. It's just, if you can win, take your 3 points and fucking move on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All I know is this reverse fixture later in the year.
It's going to be huge. It's going to be
100%.
huge.
Once we've had
absolutely.
both teams have completed their signings, and knock on wood, both teams have a fully healthy team. I feel like whenever any of our teams play any of us, most of the time, at least if it's two teams that are competitive and level at that time of the season, I talk about with Hoove almost every year. Neither of us ever have a fully healthy team for a North London derby, and this year, I think Liverpool are our North London derby. After last year, I think like they're our biggest rival this year, and so
The
in a
shade
perfect
to
world,
Tottenham is crazy, dude.
You're talking about a European champ over there, Tottenham Hotspur.
yeah, we'll
They've lifted it.
see him in the Champions League, but that reverse fixture is going to be mad.
Lucas, I want you to weigh in on this for a little bit, just as the transfer window has officially come to a close. How are you feeling about your window? You sent out quite a few
Really good.
players.
Really
Nelson,
good.
Zinchenko made the deadline day move, which is
I
great.
just looked at Twitter now and saw Zinchenko.
Yeah, Zinchenko, Nottingham Forest.
Zinchenko was like top 8 on our, highest paid players.
Yeah.
So anytime you can release a player who, we signed for too long, not knowing at the time, but signing for too long, that's getting paid a lot of money. Anytime you can unleash that contract, love the guy. Great player, but I'm happy overall with our window. Super, super happy. It was, if we would have only signed a 9, I'd also would have been super, super happy. But squeezing Eze in at the last minute was unbelievable, and I can't wait for him to be fit and fully briefed on the system.
8 players in total. You got Kepa as a background. You got Zubamendi, Christian Norgard, Nani Madueke, Mosquera, Gyökeres, Eze, and Hincapie, from Leverkusen today. 8 players is significant. That's a lot, like we said earlier. It's the deepest you all have been in a really long time. But give it like a A, B, C, D. How are you feeling?
Easy A. I think that the depth that we've added, I've said it before, we're the deepest, we've ever been. I'm not mad about any of these signings. Kepa, we were very unsure of at first when we heard the rumors, but then seeing that we got him for £5 million is a steal, in my opinion, purely because of the experience he has over at Chelsea. But signed a mixture of young and experienced talent, both prem and non-prem proven, for under 300 million. So in my opinion, that's a very good window, beefing up a lot of positions that we really needed beefing
Isn't
up
it so
in. And
funny? Isn't it so funny that you're like, yeah, and we did it all for under 300 million. Whereas, like, 5 years ago, if you're like, yeah, we did it for under
Yeah, it's
300, they'd be
absurd.
like, what the fuck?
I mean,
Yeah.
two of Liverpool's players
I
they
know.
paid 300
I'm
million,
just,
so good ones at that. But no, super happy.
well, speaking of that Liverpool team, Flan, let's hear it. Let's hear the transfer window for the ages.
Yeah.
And I know what everyone's saying. I can't believe that they got him. I can't believe that it's finally through. Freddie Woodman from Preston North End on an undisclosed fee. I mean, good for you guys. You actually did it. Way to go.
Big time. Yeah. I think, I mean, it's been. I was talking with my dad about this yesterday. Like, where does this window rank? Because everyone's like, okay, best window of my life. I think it probably is. You could say that there was a window 17-18 where we brought in Virgil van Dijk, Mohamed Salah, Oxlade-Chamberlain, and Robertson.
Pretty
Three
solid.
of those guys
It's like
are our captains.
even then you didn't know that those guys were going to be what they were. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like it's like I mean, Verge we paid biggest money we paid for a defender ever at the time. Salah we got for 40 mil, which was crazy, and Robertson we got for like 8 from Hull, which was the steal actually of them all. But yeah, I would say like that window in hindsight looks really good. This one, as far as hype and perspective, like building the future of the team, looks absolutely insane. Obviously, the big storyline is like, hey, you're spending, JP sending me like every clip he can find about Klopp saying we don't spend as much as other clubs. How can we compete? I think it's great. It's the first time I've ever seen my club like spend big in a window, like we've never dropped this type of money. I'm not going to say we've never spent big because I would say every couple years we've spent big to build a base of a team. Like we spent big on Ali, we spent big on Verge. I guess you could say we spent big on Nunez. Like there were a couple players here and there that we picked up for like a decent sum. So it's not that we've never done it before, but like last window we spent nothing. I think we spent 40 mil last window. We got like Chiesa and Mamadashvili, the keeper. So we literally spent 40 mil and now we're spending 500, and it's like you don't normally see that. So I think it's been insane. I think Isak is gonna bring a lot to the club, actually. It's a point I'd love to hear from y'all on of like, do you think it works? Is it scary even? Because I think the big question for me is like, obviously we've built what, in my opinion, is now an entire new club for the next 5-6 years. We have a whole squad that is essentially 23, 24, maybe 25. And we're looking at the future now, and we're just trying to get our older leadership like Van Dijk and Salah, Ali, to basically pass on that winning mentality to the next generation. But I think we're lacking a bit of depth in one area in particular, in my opinion, which is in the midfield. I mean, Szoboszlai has been our right back for the past 2 weeks, so maybe you could argue we're lacking a little depth there. But when Sobo's playing right back, our first sub is Curtis Jones. So the fact that we didn't address that, in my opinion, in this window is like a little bit disappointing. But and we also let go of Harvey Elliott this morning. I saw that. So like it is basically Curtis Jones is coming on the pitch, whether I like it or not. Now
What
if we get a
about-
right back, that becomes Szoboszlai. So that's not a bad sub at all.
Whatever happened to
what
Connor
about center
Bradley too,
backs?
man? Like I thought Connor Bradley was like decent.
Yeah,
like,
he's just been hurt. He's been hurt. That's the thing. He's been dealing with injuries. Center back, I think, is another one that is
Because the Gahey deal
The
fell
the
Gahey
through.
Gahey deal
bro.
fell through. Yeah, I think if the Gahey deal went through, it's A++ window, like no
Yeah.
question.
I would have
Gahey's
stopped watching the
25.
Prem, to be honest.
He's
Like,
a
that'd been
captain,
so fucked, dude.
like England starter as well. Like that would have been insane. Because I'm fearful that we will lose Konate to Real Madrid. I think that's realistically going to happen. I'm worried about it. And then we're looking at center backs as I guess we picked up this young Italian kid who's like 18, but I have no idea if he's good or not.
But you called him the next Maldini after knowing nothing about him.
But sure, I'm down. And yeah, so if we pick up one more center back, I think we're good because Joe Gomez is just injury prone as hell, and Virgil van Dijk is still the greatest center back there is, but he is getting old, and that just is what it is. So
I do think it'll
Yeah.
be interesting just to see how, and I think it's possible just because if you watched Isak and how he plays for Newcastle, he tends to drift out wide a ton in terms of to find the ball and get in behind in space. It's never him necessarily starting in that, you know what I mean, starting wide. But I also think there's a world where like if you're playing like not to keep on it, but like a Burnley, like you can go for and have Ekatike drop in as like a false 9/10 and lift. You know what I mean? Like those two players are techie enough to where it's not like they're polar opposites. Like they could very much play off each other.
Yeah. Ekatike can play on the left too.
Yeah,
Like, I
like
mean, it's just, yeah, they're going to interchange. It is what it
Yeah.
is. But,
I think so.
people sleep on Isak's.
oh my God. Yeah, it's
He's
disgusting.
talented. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think my main worry for y'all, if I had one, which I don't because fuck off, but if I did, it's just, you add another superstar in like that who's going to do the defensive work. Like I just think that what we've seen through 3 games, especially those first 2 games, is Liverpool still have the opportunity to get played through. They still have the opportunity to be exposed, to get stretched. Now, their counter press is pretty fantastic. When they lose the ball, they win it back pretty high up the field. But you get someone that can play through it and play quickly. You're not going to have Salah tracking back. You just know that. Is Ekatike, who has tracked back a couple
Ekatike's
times.
done it. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
done it so far. I do think that's a good point. Like, I'm curious how the formation is going to set us up so that defensively we're sound enough to not get played through, as you said. But yeah, I do think like Ekatike has shown that he will. He'll do it. I mean, I've seen clips for the first couple games where he'll do the 90-yard,
of course.
90, like just all the way back. Now, I don't know. Like, it's a good question of if we balance that level of offensive talent with defensive stability. Gravenberch and McAllister, I think, are the perfect 2 to have for that. But I think it's just going to be a question of keeping everyone happy. And in my honest opinion, Szoboszlai, like, not starting seems insane. But if you have, and like maybe Gakpo not starting as well, like, but if you have an actual right back healthy Frimpong, your midfield, I feel like, is set as McAllister and Gravenberch as 2 holding mids. Wirtz is probably going to start as a cam. And then you have a version of Isak, Salah, Gakpo, Ekatike up top. But that puts someone on, like a couple guys on the bench who are starters in any other club.
My
sure.
brother Evan doing unspeakable things for that problem.
It's a great problem to have.
Things
It's a
for that
great
problem.
to have.
Well,
Yeah.
I said it a couple pods ago, but your goal is to play 60-something games this season. That's the
Exactly.
goal. And so, yeah, just like Dobe said, I would also do unspeakable things to have that. And my guess is in January, y'all will go out and buy a center midfielder and a center back. If I just had to guess, that is probably what will happen.
Low-key think that Szoboszlai playing right back like helps Salah because Frimpong is so much of like he played right wing back and like having Szoboszlai just kind of sit there and do his job like freed Salah up to be able to find the ball, stay high, and not have to do that defensive stuff because I do think that, and I think Frimpong's good, like don't get me wrong, but I do think that him and Salah are going to have to learn that partnership of how not to get caught up.
I mean, it's funny. I think Szoboszlai, maybe we can talk Trent at some point on this pod because I don't think I ever got to go after that rat before he left.
You mean the future Man City player?
Yeah, exactly. But I think like Szoboszlai is kind of funny enough playing like a Trent role for us in a way. But he's much more defensively sound than Trent ever was. But he is able to tuck in a little bit into the midfield when we have the ball in possession. He's able to spray long balls. Obviously, he's hitting free kicks. So,
yeah. Just that small little last part, that free kick. I saw some analysis, forgot where. So if you've seen it, let me know. But they talked about, Trent rarely ever overlapped Salah. So like if Salah lost the ball, Trent was right there to kind of stop a counter, where Frimpong likes to overlap. He likes to underlap. He likes to get forward. And so with Szoboszlai, when he's just sitting there, like you said, Dobes, or if he tucks into the midfield, like you said, Flan, like it's a little bit more defensively sound than when Frimpong's on there. So yeah, it'll be interesting to watch as we go forward throughout this season with Liverpool. But let's get to the biggest team in England. Manchester United had 2 games this week. Some things to talk about. I know that everyone wants to talk about it. Let's talk Carabao Cup. Grimsby Town. Grimsby. Anything that y'all want to say about Grimsby before I just,
Before you guys coat this in like some sort of Manchester United spin bullshit, like I don't
Us?
care
I
who
don't
your
have
manager is. I
have
don't care who
spin
your
for this,
manager
brother.
is. Like honestly, I feel like everyone was a lot of hate. Like, hey, tactically, this guy won't change his formation, whatever for Amorim. You should be able to rock up as a Premier League club against a fourth division team with literally no manager, in my opinion, and you should stomp that team.
Yes.
Now, I think like playing in the weather and the conditions they did always neutralizes the skill difference in a match, no matter what.
Brother,
If
I'm
you're
not
on a
even going to give
pitch,
that. I'm not even going to give him that
that
excuse.
is waterlogged.
I'm not even going to
Like,
give him that
you
excuse.
move the ball as quickly as you'd want. You cannot do the foot skill because like the ball's just sitting there. But regardless, you shouldn't get like they got dominated in that
They
first
did.
half.
Yeah.
And it looked like the players didn't want to be out there. A lot of them
Yes.
looked like they didn't want to be out there. So it was crazy to see, and also hilarious that the Grimsby, the Pens were cinema. Oh my god, absolutely fucking cinema. The match was cinema, the best game I watched last week by far. And then the fact that the players on Grimsby after the match said, "I'm a United fan, so I'm a bit disappointed in this."
I'm half fuming.
That's so funny.
That's fucking great, man. That's great.
And Hen, when you were saying that City, was the team that everybody in the league
Loves
wants
playing,
to play,
yeah.
and then you have Grimsby teams chanting, "Why can't we play you every week?"
Oh yeah.
Unbelievable.
I listened to that game on full volume in my living room.
I'm
I was
so glad
hiding
you
from
did.
hiding from no one. Yeah, game was terrible. I have nothing endearing to say about that game. I agree with you, Flan, that it looked like the players didn't even want to be there. The first half was so incredibly disappointing. I mean, not just the goals. Obviously, the goals were enough to be like, I mean, what the fuck?
God, and they should have had a third too.
I know.
They should have. Yeah.
Everybody's watching United. Huh?
Yeah, biggest team in the world. I'm telling
I didn't.
you.
I didn't
losing
have
to
it
a
on at
fourth
first
division.
until the chat started blowing up about how funny it was to watch.
No,
and I was like,
to be fair, during that time, I was in Boston for my sales offsite, and I had free time that I could have turned it on too. And after the chat, I was just like, I'm just gonna pretend like I'm working right now.
Yeah, I'm
just
so
gonna
busy.
I'm gonna
Sorry,
do
guys.
anything else.
Ryder Cup.
It was just really bad. It was terrible. And I think what's most disappointing about it is, you had some guys in that starting 11 that needed to prove themselves. They needed to come out and put in a performance. They needed to rock up against Grimsby, a fourth division team, and show that they could do it if they want to be competitive in the starting 11. Chose not to. I think that is something that's so incredibly disappointing. And the memes that came after this game were generational. We haven't seen something like the Amorim tactic boards on the side, and it's turned into a DJ set. It's turned into crocheting.
So good. Yeah.
It's been incredible.
How does he not stand up with the rest of the coaches and watch the Pens?
I don't know.
That doesn't make sense to me either.
And he did that when Bruno hit the pen at the weekend too, though.
Yeah, and I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that in a second. But what I will say is, at the end of that game, I felt this way as a player. Like, I always felt confident taking a penalty, but I always knew that if we went to penalties, it's just a coin flip. Sometimes you make them, sometimes you don't.
Not with Onana. Onana's the worst goalkeeper in penalties of all time.
I don't know.
I haven't even seen a single pen.
Well,
and I already know.
I disagree.
He's very good at guessing the right way.
He's great at guessing. He's one of the best I've ever seen at guessing.
That does nothing for you, man.
He can't save a ball for sure.
De Gea never dove the correct way ever. De Gea, when we lost in the Europa League final a couple years ago, I think he dove the wrong way on every single pen
and then missed his pen.
Yeah,
I will say, if you watch Alisson Becker, one of the greatest. There he is, my guy. Greatest keeper we've ever had. But if you watch him on penalties, he's never near any of them. That's the one thing I would say about him that it's always a downside. So I would say, to Onana's credit, he got near almost every single penalty.
That's the story of him as a goalkeeper, though. It's he's right there.
He gets a hand on it.
So bad.
He gets a hand
catch
on
a
it.
corner kick.
But to in all honesty, he's another one that he needed to come into that game. Now, I believe that he should not have played in that game. I look back at that and I still don't know why that Tom Heaton's not even our starting goalkeeper, but that's for another conversation.
Maybe they thought it would be a good personal momentum booster because you guys should have pounded them.
Since then, it's come out that was probably his last game as United's keeper.
Yeah, I mean, period. It literally was said today that he won't play another game for United. But, all that to be said, I was really, after the game, low. I was like, oh fuck. In the chat, I didn't even care about the chat. I didn't care about any of the memes that people were sending me. I didn't care about any of that. I was really worried that Amram was just going to walk away. Like, it's a guy that I want to succeed so badly. And, you can never like love the manager above like the results. It's the results business. But some of the shit that was coming out, man, and that post-game conference that he gave of talking about how he was just in absolute shock and something has to change and you're not going to change 22 players. The players made it really clear what they wanted today, like things like that. I was like, he's going to walk away. That motherfucker is going to play Burnley at the weekend and then walk away. And
I think Kobe needed to go. I think he must be a bad seed in the locker room. I know there.
Shut up.
Yeah, we got to talk United transfers after we get.
We're absolutely going to, but
just letting Hen get the negative out.
Yeah, I was really low, and then we moved to the game again. The following day he comes out in the press conference and just basically says like, yeah, I do that sometimes. I come out and I say, I hate my players, I love my players. Sometimes
not
it's
great,
this, sometimes
man.
it's
Not
that.
Great.
Yeah, not a great look.
Not great.
And the thing in the perspective that I tried to like gain after that game is, one, turn off your phone, because Twitter is a Manchester. Y'all haven't seen anything until you've seen Manchester United Twitter.
It's a dark
place. But two,
went straight to the bar and pretended it didn't happen. Like
two, and this isn't an excuse, but he is a young manager. He's going to make young manager mistakes. The way that he's conducted himself in a couple conferences over last year and this year, those are some of the things that I'm like, you know what? Like, those are some areas that he needs to learn, but all can be forgiven with 3 points against Burnley. And that's what it was. What a great bounce back win. We needed that so badly.
Bounce back win.
Big bounce back win.
I said on the podcast last week that, nothing would be worse than if we lost against Burnley, and Hoover really just had to throw in there, well, I think losing to Grimsby would be pretty bad too. So he was right. I was also right. Bruno Fernandes steps up, hits his penalty at the end of the game, which is good for the confidence, especially after missing last week. But we created a fuck ton of chances that game, fellas. United were flying in it. Like, I think we created like 15 chances in the first half. If you go back and you I'm not a stats guy, but through the first 3 games of the season, like, we really have created some of the biggest chances of all of the teams in the league. It's coming. We struggled to create any amount of chances last season, and now we're creating them at will. Mbumo, so glad that he scored. I don't have to worry about a 007 with him whatsoever. But he also kind of has that little bit of dare I say, Salah quality about him, where he can not be involved in a play.
He fades in and out of games.
And then we can play him on an outlet, and he can bring down a 60-yard pass from Mason Mount with the outside of his foot, cut in, and it hit a whip shot to the back post. Like, he kind of has a little bit of that quality. And so I'm interested to see how we progress with him throughout this season. But it wasn't a perfect performance against Burnley. There's a lot of things that we need to tighten up. There's some people that played well, some people that didn't. I have a lot to say about it, but for sake of not talking about Manchester United for another 20 or 30 minutes, let's talk about transfers. We are officially at the end of the transfer window, like we said. Connor Dobry. Much has been made around Manchester United's business this summer, leading into the summer, and now that we're at the end of the summer window. What are your overall thoughts about the window? What are you excited about? What's still lacking? How would you grade it?
Yeah, let's hear a grade for you guys.
I think I'm at like do we do numbers or letters? What did you guys do?
I give it A+. So you go letter.
I think I'm like right between like a C+ and B. I think the ones I'm really excited about, obviously really excited about Mbumo and Cunha. I think we've seen already from Cunha just how special of a player is just on the ball. Same thing with Mbumo. He kind of started a little bit slower, but you can see the quality that he has on the ball, off the ball. When he has space, he's going to be a dangerous player. I'm very, very excited about Sesko as well. And to be honest with you, I know people are like complaining that he hasn't started, but like, I am very happy in terms of how Amram is managing him. One of the reasons that Højlund just got hung out to dry is because he was put as the 9 and expected just to be the savior. Like, the goal is for Sesko to be United striker for 5 to 7 years, right? Like, it just that's the plan. And if you throw him out there, don't let him adapt to the league, and he doesn't perform, that heat, especially at a club like United, comes 10 times more than about anywhere else in the world. And so the fact of the matter is, like, if you look at Burnley at the weekend, we're like, even without him starting a Prem game, we have the highest XG currently in the league. So it's like we're creating chances and stuff is still happening even without playing as a target 9. It's like I'm very excited for Sesko, and the fact that we're easing him in a little bit, I think is going to be one of those things that's going to benefit us in the long run. But then again, it's like when he does come in, even just seeing that how we have not scored, how we've liked it, there's still going to be that pressure. It's just it is what it is when you become the number 9 at a young age, no matter the age at United. But then it's like the downside is we could talk about Lemons who signed today. The downside is we didn't get a midfielder. Like we did not sign a midfielder. Like if you would ask me before this window, like 1A, 1B, it's obviously we had to create goals, but like we needed a proper 6. And I think the thing is when you go out and get Acuna and you go out and get Mbumo, those are 2 players that need to play. Like obviously Acuna's hurt now, but those are 2 players that need to play. They need to be the 10s. Like which leaves Bruno Fernandes to kind of play as this like hybrid, wants to be an 8, but isn't always like a metronome and great on the ball to link up play, plays too quick. And then when you partner him with like a Casemiro who's supposed to be a 6, but like doesn't have the legs, like we're easily exposed. So it's like this fine line between we're good enough to play against some not great teams in the midfield, but then again, it's like you play teams that can hit you quick on the counter, and it's 1 to 2 passes you're in behind Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro. And I think the frustrating part too is like I do think Kobe Mainu is a better fit for that role for Bruno Fernandes, but the way that Amorim likes to play, he likes to play with like a box-to-box 8 and then like a proper 6, a Ugarte or a Casemiro. And so they're fighting for spots there. So long-term, I think Kobe fits that role perfect if you partner him with a hopefully Baliba or hopefully a just more like physically sound 6 that has legs. I think the problem is right now it's like Ugarte has been just an absolute nightmare for the first 4 games of the season. Casemiro has been honestly relatively solid, but still gets run through sometimes. And then it's just like, where does Kobe Mainu, who people forget, just like walked into the England team last year, started their biggest games, was one of their best players on the field, and we can't even get him in our team. So to me, it's just that like the one thing I would credit Ineos is they didn't go out last year or 2 years ago. The Glazers would have gone out and spent 90 million today on a player that was probably worth 30 to try to just fix a gap. And so we didn't do that.
That's not Sesko?
No, that's definitely not Sesko. He's
the 10th player to take penalty kicks, so I don't know. He might be.
But to be fair, it's because he was cramping. But I am happy that we got like Lemons as a goalie, which like, and I probably am butchering that. I'm not even going to pretend like I know a ton about him, but what I have seen and all I care about, 99% talent crosses, 99% talent crosses, 99% talent crosses, 99% talent crosses. That's all I fucking care about. It's like C plus or B. But again, it's like, we'll see. It's can Emre make it click? I'm not even going to talk about the Iraqi like bomb squad that we got rid of because they don't even deserve to be mentioned. But like we did clear out some of the dead. That was polite. I was going to call him Al Qaeda.
So glad that you didn't. So glad that you didn't say that.
But like just getting rid of some of that like allows us to move forward. But like it's no secret we still have gaping holes in certain areas of the field that need to be fixed.
I thought Kobe Mainu was a 6 when he like burst on the scene. I thought he was a 6.
He came in as a 6, but like
he played in a 4-2-3-1 where he had somebody partnering with him and then a 10 in front of him.
Okay. Yeah. But his first game that he did come in, 2 years ago, he did play a 6 role.
Yeah.
But like he isn't.
Eminem doesn't think he's athletic enough which is funny because Bruno is not athletic at all.
Yeah, but like, how does Mason Mount start? Like, can Bruno not just play Mason Mount's role, or is it's too forward?
That is a little bit of the curiosity. And Mason Mount came off at halftime with a alleged injury, and so
classic. That guy fucking injured all the time.
I know, and which has been brutal because he's been the most consistent player through the first 3 or 4 games of the season. He's been great, but because Cunha also pulled up injured in the game. So if Cunha and Mount aren't able to play, we'll definitely see Kobe in there.
Yeah, it benefits Kobe for sure.
Yeah, it does. So we'll see Bruno as one of the 10s and we'll see Kobe in there. Yeah, I would also give it a B. After we got Cunha, I wanted a midfielder. That is what I wanted. I knew that we needed more goals. So getting a striker, getting another 10 was great. I hated Onana. I would still like if we didn't sign Lemons and it meant that we got a midfielder, I would have been fine with Bayindir for the rest of the
Suck
season.
it up and just prey on corners.
Yeah, because
dude, it's laughable how somebody in the 6-yard box shooting, I'm less nervous than a corner kick.
Yeah,
less nervous than a corner. He can't catch the ball, dude. Neither can Bayindir. They can't catch the ball.
And it is sad because, through the first couple games, so through the first 2 games of the season, every goal that we gave up was from a goalkeeping error. None of it was from like open play getting played through. In our last game, you could say that one of the goals was a goalkeeping error. One of them was just a bad defensive, but that's the first time that we've been played through like that.
Bayindir just slapped the ball back in the middle of the box against Burnley.
Yeah, just not good.
Just like bitch slapped it right back at him.
So I'm a B because, we brought in some talent and also some talent that I think is going to be here for quite a while. I look at the guys that we brought in and I don't see Mbumo, Cunha, Šeško, Lemans. I don't see them going anywhere anytime soon, but we need a midfielder. I was a little bit hopeful that with the sales that we did in the last, 48 hours, I was a little hopeful that we were going to make one more bid for Baliba just to see. But I understand that, again, like Dobes, what you said, like, classic Glazers is to spend a fuck ton of money on the last couple hours and it not be good. So Amram has his work cut out between now and January. He's really got to figure it out and kind of solidify the team.
We'll know when this team takes a step forward when the game on Saturday is 4-0 at halftime.
Yes.
Like when we take every single one of those chances and put a Burnley team away, that's a step forward. Because like we didn't play terribly. We gave up 2 shit goals, but leaving teams like the Liverpools and Arsenals and the cities, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The worst steps away from being at that level. So it's expected to get played through, but the Burnleys and the teams that we should be putting them away 3 or 4 goals and like wide open sitters and taking your chances. That's going to be a step forward in terms of just, those are the points that we have to get 8th through 6th. Like those are must wins in putting those teams away.
It's weird that it seems I feel like United it struggles against the shittier competition.
Always.
But like that Arsenal game, honestly, I thought United looked pretty good.
Best we've
like
looked
I thought you guys looked real good,
years.
and I agree with Amarin. It was like, oh, this shows we can play with the top teams, and I was like, damn, okay, they made some good shinings. Cunha looks good. Cunha always looks good, and Buemo is probably going to produce some for you guys. Yeah, I feel like the biggest question mark in your team is, or as a signing, is still Šeško. Like, I'm not fully sold, but I just haven't seen much of him, I guess.
I haven't seen it either, but what I will say is Xerxes looked awesome in that role. He was great. His ability to link up. And I also think that something that's unique about Xerxes is that he doesn't fluctuate with the players around him. Like he is just like the guy, if like against Grimsby, for example, and LOL that I'm bringing him up against, a 4th division, everyone looked horrible. He looked really good. He was like the guy who was, getting his foot on the ball. He was doing everything he normally does. Like it was like the one player on United's team that when he came on, I was like, yeah, he's just completely unfazed by any of this that's going on. So yeah, if Šeško is still figuring his shit out, maybe it will look like that false 9 kind of thing, or Xerxes will start in there. Like the competition is there. We are not going to just throw Šeško in and, throw him to the wolves like we did with Højlund. I have to believe that we learned from that. So
it's a good point. He's got to earn it. Like he's got to earn his spot.
Big price tag, but you pay for what will hopefully be the future. But I know that Dobes doesn't want to bring up the bomb squad, but the fact that we did get a lot of those guys out feels really good. Sancho out to Aston Villa on a season-long loan. Højlund with a loan with an obligation to buy if Napoli makes it into the Champions League, which you have to imagine that they will. To Real Betis with a 50% sell-on clause, which is hilarious. So let's hope that he balls out for a little bit and then goes to Saudi for 100 million. That would be great. Garnacho, fuck that guy, by the way, to Chelsea, 10% sell-on clause and
Draco Malfoy.
Dude, showing up to Stamford
He does
Bridge,
himself 0 favors.
Zero favors.
All with that CR7 G string on underneath.
And then it was like I used to look up to Hazard. It's like, dude, you have CR7 on your wall in your gym. Like what?
He's just the worst. But yeah, so overall, B for the window. I'm really pleased with the guys we brought in, but for me, I think
I'm still C+. Yeah, when we talk about C+.
We should have gotten a midfielder.
I have a question for you guys on the United front specifically. I feel like the one thing that you guys have not done with your transfers, and I said this in the chat, is like you are buying a player to like as a player for the role. But I feel like you have not done a good job of buying a player for like the person they are and the personality. Like
Yeah,
I think
that's a really fair point.
I think Liverpool is a very good example, but I think I could also point to Arsenal. Like I feel like a lot of the Arsenal guys are like they're like quiet off the pitch. They're very quiet. Like
Minus
I
that
never hear
34-year-old
from like
midfielder that they had for a while.
yeah, but like most of their guys, like like I don't even know what these guys sound like because I don't even hear them do interviews. Like I feel like a lot of these guys are like, but they quietly go about do their business. Like Kai Havertz, mute. It could be mute. I don't know. I've never heard him talk, but like for the squad, for the role, fits that role perfectly. Odegaard, kind of quiet off the pitch. Saka, quiet off the pitch. I mean, like I think they're like Saliba, very quiet off the pitch. I don't even know if that guy talks, but he's like one of the best center backs in the league.
He records things on Snapchat, though. That's for sure.
But I feel like they've like bought players who will slot well into the personalities on the team.
Yeah, that's fair.
That I feel like is something that United has not done. They've been like, hey, we need a striker. Let's just go drop 60 million on the best striker there is.
I think
and
this
it doesn't
was
matter
the
if he
first
fits.
summer we did that a little bit. Like I think Mbumo and Cunha are two players that fit that mold in terms of like Cunha's a little bit more flamboyant, I would say, just in terms of personality. But like in Mbumo, the biggest thing that we've done that we haven't done in the past this summer is we've bought players that genuinely want to be here. And not just
maybe that's a big part of it. Yeah, they want to be there.
Not just giving them $350,000 a week and said, join us. Like Cunha desperate to be here, and Mbumo desperate to be here. Sesko took less than he would have got at Newcastle to be here. So it's like, this might have been the first time we've started, but Flan, you're 100% right. Like we have not done that in a very, very long time in terms of get the right player in the right spot with the right personality, because for the last 4 or 5 years, we've made more headlines away from the field than like we've even close to made on the field.
Yeah. Yeah, it is tough. And no matter how tongue in cheek I may be when I say, but we're the biggest club in England. It just is what it is. Like you have full blown The Athletic articles about Amram's body language on the side whenever you have Pep Guardiola coming into press match conferences with his head completely scratched up. But like apparently Amram's body language is enough. We're ahead of a lot of teams in the table, which is so good as a United fan to say after where we finished last year. But based on the media coverage, you would think that our club is fucking burning to the ground.
Dude,
so
we are news is being bad is the best possible thing for Premier League news. It just is. It's just the best, dude.
Yeah,
Sky
it's really
Sports,
good to
every single person's got something to talk about, to shit on.
When we're back at the top, it's going to be unbearable. I'll tell you that much. But
it's always unbearable. That's
so overall, that is what it is. I will be very curious, not only for United, but there's a couple other pretty big signings that happened across the Premier League. Newcastle finally brought in a couple of players. Getting Wissa for $55 million as a 29-year-old with 1 year left on his deal was insane, but good for Brentford. That'll fund quite a bit for them. They got that big ass Nick Wolt, whatever dude, from Germany. He's like 6'6".
Please tell me you guys watched his interview.
Favorite player is Kai Havertz?
You said
that guy's gonna suck.
What's the best? Who's your favorite German player of all time? I like Kai Havertz.
Have you watched comp videos on that guy?
I don't even know who he is.
Is he good? I have no idea.
Yeah, he has that like really tall, slender frame like Isak had. Isak is faster than him.
He's that pro clubs build, man. He
is that pro clubs build. But when he said that, it made me cringe because obviously Kai Havertz is Kai Havertz. But when you look at the way that this Nick guy plays and you look at how Kai played in the Bundesliga, very, very similar. Super like techie and like. Yeah, I mean, the guy's a stick. He's going to be very good. I don't know if he's going to be very good in England, but he will be a very good striker in his career. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. We'll see what happens with Raheem Sterling, the highest earner at Chelsea that still has 2 years left on his deal.
That might be the funniest thing out of this. Even funnier than Grimsby. I think that might be
insane.
Even funnier.
Also, did you guys see the memes of Ben Chilwell going to like Strasbourg or whatever that team is that Chelsea owns when Todd Bowley's like,
how is that legal?
Todd Bowley was like, hey, do you want him? Sure.
Yeah.
The same owner. But, for what it's worth, good for Ben Chilwell. He hasn't played in forever. Good for him for going there. Some other notable fixtures that happened. Chelsea controversially beat Fulham 2-0. VAR doing what VAR does and ruining the game. Tottenham's Thomas the Frank engine lost 1-0 to Bournemouth. So it looks like Thomas Frank has his team in mid-season form. We got that going on. And Everton just looked like the most fun team in the Premier League to watch. So Jack Grealish back to his best. They are a team to watch for the rest of the season.
Them being ahead of City right now is hilarious.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
City blowing their lead to Brighton as well.
Oh, yeah, I completely forgot about that.
That was amazing. City is struggling.
Yeah, what's the deal, Flan?
Know.
What's the deal with City? We can talk about it for just a couple minutes here, but
I mean, I think it's like one of those things where they're at like the end of a project, honestly, is what it is. Like they dominated the league for multiple years. The Pep Klopp rivalry was fantastic. Like a lot of their players that were great for them at the time are just sort of like getting older, and I think they're in the weird in between where they're trying to bring in enough new signings to patch the holes in the ship, but it ultimately is a sinking ship, and I think they need like a bigger rebuild. They probably need a year where they spend a lot, and not that they're not spending, but
the year that they spend a lot more than the like 400 that they've already spent
more
this
than
summer.
they normally spend, but like they really realistically need to probably replace like a good chunk of those guys. But I don't know, they've just been looking like weirdly open at the back. But to give Brighton credit, they always have such young, exciting talent. I don't know where the hell they find these guys, but like the way that they played at the end of that game, a couple of the guys who came on, I think it was like the Brojan guy or something like that.
German dude.
Yeah, like they looked really good offensively. Great to see Millie score a pen.
Mm-hmm.
A nice emotional Diogo Jota tribute from him as well. He's like, I haven't scored in 6 years. I put on the number this season for Jota and I score. Yeah, I don't know. I think Pep is comfortably going to let the last year of his contract run out and then likely go somewhere else. Is just what it looks like.
He might just be done for a while.
It's the awkward, like, because I watched this whole game. It's just like Oscar Bob and everybody's so high on him, but like they let Grealish go for a loan, like, and then Marmoush and like Bernardo Silva's the captain playing in that midfield role, and you have Nunes, who is a center midfielder, as you're starting. It's just like,
it's just weird.
Ant Nuri's like, who I think is a very good left back, like by no means talking shit, but it just seems like right now it's like hodgepodge put together. Mm-hmm. To where it was like, they still, don't get me wrong, like they're still dangerous. Haaland can still step up at any moment and do what he does and find a way to score goals. But like Brighton, once they got the first one, I always thought they were going to get a second one in that game because they were the better team. Like, and it wasn't close at that point. Like, credit it was, they did take Baliba off and it made me a little salty that he was ass. But like, Brighton in that second half was by far the better team. Like, it wasn't a fluke. They didn't score two like fluky bullshit goals. It was a clear pen and a great goal. Who did he sit? Was it Nunes? No, it was Ant Nuri sat down. He sat down Ant Nuri and Trafford in the same play.
On a little cutback.
Yeah.
It is weird. Like, it almost feels like the talent ID at City, it just doesn't make sense. It's like you're going out and you're buying these really good players, but do they fit the system or are they going to take it forward? Because it almost feels like Pep is reluctant to trust like new people coming in to play their roles. It's like,
we haven't even mentioned that they let Ederson just signed with Fenerbahce,
whatever.
Yeah.
I understand that. Does anyone know like why they let him walk? Was it a
minor thing? He signed Donnarumma.
Yeah, and I just don't think Pep really has loved Ederson for a couple of years. Like we talked about this last week, but there are a couple really massive games, especially last year, that Pep just chose Ortega. Was just like, I just
didn't Akanji just go somewhere?
I think
too?
Even in Champions League, we talked about Ortega starting and just like
not his guy.
Group stage,
But yeah, I agree with you, Flan. I think this is the last year that we'll see Pep in the Premier League because he always does. He always takes like a year off and whatever, or takes some time away, and he deserves that after the last couple of years. But it is nice to see it kind of floundering.
Yeah, thank God.
Right?
Get them the fuck out of here, man.
Well, it's not even just like losing. It's just like I just like that his world is fucking crumbling on the pitch. Like respect for the guy off the pitch, but like I don't want to see him succeed at all. And I just love that
they're gonna show up and look like the best team in the world against us in 2 weeks, and it's just gonna
we'll see.
That I look forward to,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Well, as always, ladies and gentlemen, you can check out our latest pods on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe and give us a like on all social medias. We're active on the Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, etc. Flan, thanks for hopping on this week. Always good to see a familiar face. One last congratulations for the wedding. A married man. Happy for you. And until next week, gentlemen, cheers.
Cheers, lads.
Cheers, everyone.